All right, so I had occasion recently to dive into the real specifics and details on the concept of death certificate in Florida. So, almost 30 years I've been doing this stuff, probate and practicing law, and something new comes up all the time. And this question that I had recently, specifically, somebody was asking, how do I determine whether, my grandmama's died down there and hospital wouldn't provide information? So that sent me down the rabbit hole of death certificates. Now, one of the key things in any probate thing is we need that death certificate. And really, that's what starts off the process. I tell people all the time that you're going to need that death certificate. It's like the keys to the kingdom. If you've done proper estate planning, the financial institution will take that death certificate and just immediately give you access to the account. If you got a property, it could be $1 million piece of property, record that death certificate, boom, it's in the name properly. But we don't often get into the details on how that death certificate is issued. One other thing about a death certificate I think about in estate planning. I always tell people when they come into the office, if you draft a will in here, that will is never going to see the light of day until either you're back in this office and you want to see your will, or there's a death certificate. Now, there's an important, crazy thing that's happening out there in the state that, again, just blows my mind. Now, the will is supposed to be the most sacred private document that you have. You come into this office and you leave a will and you decide to leave everything to the Salvation Army or the church or whatever. No one's going to know about that. Spouse isn't going to be able to come in here and find out, oh my God, he left all the money to charity or whatever. Or kids aren't going to be coming, oh my God, he left all the money to the girlfriend or whatever else like that. No, that's a private, sacred document that no one's ever going to find out about. But there's something happening across the state that's actually terribly disturbing. That's this. I have seen over and over again that when somebody goes into a guardianship, there's an order where the court will have the drafting attorney, if I'm in possession of somebody's will, power of attorney, and all that sort of thing. And these attorneys are just turning these things over to somebody calling in and saying, hey, Matt's in a guardianship. Do you have his will? And the attorney just goes, yeah, here's the will. And it's crazy. It's insane because I've over and over again been involved in guardianship or other things. And somebody's filed the will, filed the power of attorney, filed all these things. And now all of a sudden you think about it, like the wife finds out that lo and behold, this guy's left everything to his best friend or whatever. And that's a huge problem. So that would never happen in my office. I don't care even what court order, but I'd be having lots of hearings and explaining to the judge, I'm respectful of your power, judge, but I'm not turning over that will. You're going to have to issue an order. We're going to have lots of appeals on this before that will sees the light of day. But for all you lawyers out there and people that have prepared wills and you're just turning them over and now they appear in the docket for all the world to see, that's insane. But I digress. I went way off topic there. We were talking about death certificates. And the bottom line is this. Death certificate is issued by the state, and there's a whole process under Florida's Chapter 382.008. Someone takes custody of a body. It's usually a funeral home or funeral director. That sets up this process of getting that person in line in that little database that each county carries. And the funeral home is the one that gets the medical report why they died. Now, in every case when it's clear, natural causes, there's not any real formal reporting, but the formal reporting starts under Chapter 382.008 when the legally authorized person, that'd be spouse, adult child, next of kin, legal representative, opens up this process. Now, the medical certification is signed, and again, this is a very formal, specific process, under 382.011, natural causes, the attending physician, or sudden deaths, a medical examiner. So again, two different things. If it's natural causes, grandmom's in a hospital, she dies, doctor's going to sign that, attending physician's going to sign that. If we're not real clear about that, sometimes there's toxicology reports. There's got to be an autopsy that occurs, identification issues. We're not really sure who this person is. Think about a catastrophe, plane crash, something like that. These can be a long period of time before cause of death and identification really occurs. But long form death certificate, and that's going to include the cause of death, is required under some very narrow circumstances. Insurance, pensions, certain kind of litigation, that cause of death becomes really important. But the short form death certificate should be published and issued right away. But Death certificate is a vital thing that's going to be required. That's been, I talk about the barriers to probate or what takes so long, what gets judges frustrated, or frankly, what gets clients frustrated in not getting a case open. It's going to the Department of Health and getting that death certificate. We do that directly. It's one of those things where we want to assist the client, get that thing right away. But the bottom line is this: these statutes that I'm talking about, 382.008, 382.011, and then on the other side of it is the criminal side. Well, when the cause of death is suspicious, so that'd be under the medical examiner jurisdiction if we're concerned about this. And then a really interesting one, 40612, mandatory reporting. So if there's been a violent death, then we're going to have mandatory reporting requirements. That's under 406.112. But that's the fascinating world of death certificates. If you got questions about this, you're interested in death certificates, like and subscribe. I want to have some additional videos talking about death certificates a little bit more.